I don't know. There's a lot to it.
There was like version, and then it was FC, so Fate Cup, dash, shards used. Opponent chose to play Dominion, taking the play. The coin flip does determine the player of round one, guys. Just in case you did not know, I'll let you know right now. This is on a delay, so I believe we are keeping the handguard down. So we can see Coach opening up a handful of legendaries, really. Some of the scariest cards in the game, and Dominion
I
loading
don't
up
think
with the strongest one drop in the game.
I don't think you can buy that hand for 700 platinum.
You cannot buy that hand for 700 platinum. Dominion puts down a Sapphire Shard and leads with a main deck Ancestors Chosen. That's a 1/1 for 1 that will create Ancestral Specters, 2 of them, at the beginning of every one of Dominion's turns and put those into his deck. You can see his deck says, got even larger as he went in there.
So
Those
note
ancestors-
here is the Ancestors Chosen, completely unanswerable right now from Fliperon. And, the opponent here, Dameneon, may have an answer for the only threat that Fliperon currently has. We don't know what's in his hand, but likely that troop Dameneon just tunneled also a Reese.
Yeah.
So, judging by the board state right now, there's a clear leader in this situation.
And it doesn't quite seem threatening, that 1/1 for 1. But those Ancestral Specters are 2/2s for 1. They draw you a card when they enter play. They have flight. They can spam the board. They're huge. And in addition, getting in a couple of quick hits here. That's 2 damage from the Ancestors Chosen, all on its ownsies there. Coach gonna need to find an answer here pretty soon, especially with the Cerulean Mirror Knight coming down on Dominion's side of the board.
Counter Magic is a strong pickup here. Obviously, being able to stop the opponent's Reese from entering play is quite significant.
Yeah, a lot of these matches definitely come down to who sticks the Reese. The biggest threat typically is going to be the Reese here, or the Dreamer.
Well, let's not discount the
Pretty much
attacks,
weenie
though.
beat down.
This is a big push from Dominion here. Not really the biggest threat available, but throwing down just all of his troops on the board, not afraid of any sort of recursion. Sapphire Diamond, of course, not having a huge amount of board control, like direct removal, so to say.
Fliperon had a choice. He hovered over the counter magic with that second Cerulean Mirror Knight, deciding whether to take care of that or not. Because right now, at the moment, he does not have a way to stop what is 3 damage a turn, and that will quickly not turn, possibly not be trivial damage, but we will see.
Every point of damage does matter when you're playing Sapphire matchups, because the final push for damage usually comes from big troops created by Reese, and possibly Mastery of Time chains. Always interesting to see. Tough spot here for Coach, because he wants to get his Reese out as soon as possible, and he can do that by playing Mastery, but of course, Dominion holding up 4 resources this turn. All of his threshold are Sapphire. Pretty crazy. Are there any banned cards for this cup? I see in chat, no. I do not believe we had any banned cards for this situation. Or champions, even.
The only champion that could get you in trouble is actually Bunjitsu. Because his Abomination enters play ready instead of exhausted like it is intended.
So here we see Coach tried to lay out that Mastery so that his Reese could surface next turn, but Verdict of the Ancient Kings comes up from Dominion, a 2-cost counter to any non-troop card. And on his side of the board, he pulls up his first Reese. Now, Dominion still only has 3 cards in hand and doesn't have a 5th resource for, say, Mastery of Time quite yet. So, Coach might be able to pull this back on his turn, depending on what Dominion is holding. He is going to get his own Reese. We'll see what is created by the Reese ability, the surfaced ability of Reese, of course, creating a random robot at the end of every turn. These are almost all going to be inspired by that double Cerulean Mirror Knight, though, so the card draw will be huge.
Ouch. But we have some control wars as counter magic for counter magic. And Fliperon's Reese does indeed hit the board.
Normally, using a counter magic on a counter magic is pretty huge, but given that Dameneon already has an infiltrator bot, it's not looking good for Fliperon here.
It was actually, and also an interesting choice here to lay down that Soul Marble, basically counting on a decent Reese pull, and he gets one. The Mecha T-Hex is kind of big here. Dominion's play here will basically change everything. Has a lot of outs in Sapphire that just win him the game on the draw. He only has to be able to remove one troop here, and he's got the Buccaneer. That should be game. We'll see if it actually ends up being as such, but Dominion should just be able to make his Infiltrator bot unblockable and swing for lethal here.
The best block that's possible is Reese blocking Reese, and that 3 damage in the form of the Ancestors Chosen and 2 Cerulean Mirror Knights will be exactly enough to finish off this game.
All right, so the players will go to the reserves phase, and while they go to the reserves phase, like Infamous Neo said earlier, we will draw that first 700 Platinum prize.
We shall, and the winner of the first 700 Platinum is going to be Hefus 2.
Awesome. If you just want to put that into chat for them, and
I will indeed, sir.
And ideally they can let us know their in-game name, and we will get that platinum to. Well, we'll write that prize down somewhere. Our current prize giver awayer is not quite there.
Congratulations, Hefus.
Huge shout-outs to Hefus. Congratulations for winning that.
IGN is Hellforge. I have that written down.
Awesome.
With 700 platinum, you could even get 3 alternate art commons. Assuming they are burn, murder, survival, repel, and the other 2. It's too early in the morning to remember.
I mean, that's fair too. Those prices will change very significantly soon.
Have they already? Since the announcement yesterday that they'll be leaving the store. Not immediately soon, but soon-ish soon. I wonder if there was an effect on the prices in the auction house.
Entirely possible. Hef is pretty much expressing exactly the gratitude that we expect. No, well, not that we expect, that we express as well. Huge shout outs to all of the people watching. Hefis mentions the players, the casters, the organizers, and Colin. Those are all people who I would like to give shout outs to as well. So here we see the opening hand once again. Did Coach choose? Yeah, Coach chose to play here. Of course, the loser of every game will get to choose what to do. He's seen 2 hands with a single shard of purpose now, and mulls down to 5. Once again, I would like to take this time to further my personal agenda of saying that the Hex Mulligan system is nonsense, and I hope it gets changed at some point. You should not perform all of your mulligans before the opponent does anything with their mulligans. That is hockey. That is not cool. So Coach keeping a 5-card hand. Dominion, of course, seeing this, keeps a 7-card hand. Probably would have kept a sketchy 7-card hand in that situation. And we'll see if Flip can make it to a better start off than last time. He's already in a bit of a better position with Dominion not laying down that turn 1 Ancestors Chosen, even though the Spectres didn't really play a huge part in that last game.
That living totem that looks mysteriously like a bear, unfortunately, cannot be played at this point.
Yeah, missing the diamond threshold to lay out the living totem. It's a handful of good cards. It's just a shame it was such a mulligan down to this situation here. Finds another shard. You know, any shard after this in his deck is likely to produce a charge and at least let him draw a card and put himself kind of back in a favorable situation. But we do see the Tunneled Troop on Dominion side of the board. Cerulean Mirror Knight now coming out. Just scary stuff. Shadow M featured matches. You can totally watch featured matches if you don't worry about seeing stuff that your opponents have. I appreciate your honesty in being worried about that kind of thing, but the featured matches are sort of a risk reward for the players. Here we see, finds a Sapphire, draws a card. That was probably the last card in his entire deck he wanted to see. Infamous, if you had pulled that Angel of Dawn with your Wyatt Charge power, how many tables would you have flipped?
17, exactly.
How many tables can you buy with 700 platinum?
That depends on...
17, exactly.
Yeah. Well, a teapot's 30 platinum, so... So here we see Zodiac Divination from Dominion here, furthering his card advantage. Coach lets that through, knowing he can't really he can't really afford to expend his counter magic there. All of the cards picked up by that Zodiac Divination will have their cost reduced by 1. He didn't have the diamond, yes, so the Angel of Dawn wouldn't have been played, but that means he drew an unplayable card and a card that you never want to draw.
It was also the second card drawn in his turn, so Angel of Dawn would not have triggered its power.
Yes, it's pretty much the worst time to pull that. We see Flip using his counter magic here on the Reese, trying to get that through. Dominion, of course, having the Verdict, plays it out there. Still having 3 resources up past that and 6 cards left in hand. Chances were pretty good that Reese was going to resolve there. So we'll see. Reese going to swing in for 4 here. Not afraid of Repel, interestingly enough. So possibly still holding up another counter.
Would you expect Repel?
Diamond.
Oh, he still doesn't have the diamond threshold either. Yeah. No, I wouldn't have expected. I wouldn't have expected Repel in that case. Otherwise, though, yeah, I probably would have. We see a 1-cost Stormcloud hit the board. Another shard played, putting a counter on the Stormcloud. I always feel bad for people when they don't have their thresholds, and I just assume they have the thresholds they need for things. Reese creating a Hornet Bot at the end of turn, one of 3 flight troops that it can create with its ability.
What is the third?
The third, Inductocopter Bot, Tarot Bot, and Hornet Bot.
There we go.
Do I win Hexperty for knowing this knowledge? Yeah.
Yes, you do, every time.
So we see a swing for 6. Again, no threshold or scariness on Coach's side of the board. 7 cards in Dominion's hand. This is a fairly imposing board state. We'll see what Coach chooses to do here with the Cerulean Mirror Knight coming up to the board. Looks like he's going to lay down that counter magic. Just doesn't want to deal with Cerulean Mirror Knight. Of course, Dominion lets that through. And now Slaughter Gear is created with the Reese effect, which can turn any non-exhausted artifact for 3 resources into an exhausted Warhulk. Coach finds another Sapphire Shard and tries to play out his Mastery of Time. He needs to buy a second draw here, but of course, with all those cards in his hand, Dominion has an answer, verdicts that, and now not only is Coach's turn done, he only has 2 resources open, and his opponent is going to swing for lethal. This was a quick match, assuming that this will be the swing for lethal, and really just an unfortunate state of events. The mono Sapphire deck proving to just be a little more consistent at the very least than the Sapphire Diamond. Those mulligans really hurting Coach in that first part.
Yeah, the mulligan hurt, but even if that wasn't the case, it looked like with the draws that he had there that it was probably going to go to Dominion anyway. The extra card draw there. And also, of course, having the Reese, the key card in the pseudo mirror here. Pretty hard to beat once he's already in the play.